everyone, it's Pat Foley with recruitinginfo.com. We are conducting a series of interviews about the differences between Division I, II, and III, both from a recruiting standpoint and then also from perspective of what the difference might be for the athletes when they participate in these different programs. I'm very pleased to be joined today by Jeff Moore of More Exposure. Jeff is a recruiter, a recruiting consultant, and specializes in basketball. That's the field that he comes out of. So he'll be able to give us some direct knowledge of what the differences look like when it comes to basketball. So Jeff, I thought maybe we'll start out. I mean, the one big thing that I think that is an issue when it comes to recruiting in general is kind of misconceptions that the parents have, or maybe inflated expectations that they have, and
Right.
maybe you can address that a little bit to get us kicked off here.
Absolutely. Dealing with the parents, the parents have to understand this is quite a process, the recruiting game. They go through this, if they're lucky, one time in their lives, whereas someone like myself has done this hundreds of times, and you come to understand the expectations. Obviously, every kid on the planet wants to play at a Division I level, but the actual percentage of that getting there statistically is 1%.
Yeah,
So 99% of people are not going to the Division I level.
sure.
And they have to understand that playing at any college basketball level is a blessing. And that in itself is 95% chance you're not going to play any college basketball level at all. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a process. They have to be patient. They have to have a true understanding of what I suggest is go look at a basketball player who you know has Division I offers,
Mm-hmm.
and openly go and watch this person play and say, hey, do I really live up to this type of play? And the thing you got to have is either the parent or the player has to be, one of them has to be a buffer and have actual expectations of where they can actually play. I mean, we shoot for the stars, but it's kind of like fishing. You cast out that net, and you're usually pulling into schools where you're able to play.
Yeah. Is it like I assume with basketball is similar to other sports where there's actually more money available at the Division III level in the form of financial aid than there is maybe at the D1 level in the form of scholarships?
Yeah, the Division I level is the only level where you'll get a full scholarship.
Mhm.
Hands down, I've had parents say, hey, can we get a half a scholarship? No, it's just not possible because
Right.
they want the kid to play there so bad they'll be willing to do anything. Division III they're usually private schools, high academics, but there's no athletic scholarships at all. But what they try to do is obviously we encourage good grades and good test scores where you'll get some nice financial aid for that, put up a nice
Yeah.
package. And what they try to do is make it the same type of cost where an in-state school would be. They try to make it so it's a tough sell for these coaches to get some of these kids there, but some of them, if you have the means and you want to, a high academic institution, but the downfall is they just don't provide any athletic scholarships at the
Mm-hmm.
Division III level.
And that's you said something that's interesting because I know I was speaking to someone from the lacrosse world about how it works there, and it's different at the D1 level. There's almost no full scholarships. What you hope to get is maybe a 30% scholarship.
Wow, yeah,
If
yeah.
you're of the 1% that can play D1 basketball, of what percent of those are getting scholarships?
Division I will all be full scholarships. Now, Division II is kind of like the NAIA system where they'll combine athletic and academic. Now, Division I, they're able to give 13 scholarships. Division II, they can do 10 scholarships, and obviously Division III, they don't have any.
Right.
So
So essentially,
percentage,
it's all scholarship at the D1 level. I've heard the
yeah,
term stacking, which is combining financial aid and scholarship. That happens at the D2 level, and then at the D3
right.
level, it's all financial aid.
And that's why we encourage the grades. A lot of these kids don't buy into, I have to get good grades until it's too late. I've seen some
Yeah.
outstanding, even first class all state players who sometimes you got to break it to them. You're just a junior college player because you didn't qualify because they go by core GPAs and test scores, and it's some kids don't buy into that until it's too late.
And I remember talking to someone in a previous video. It was kind of about the COVID situation, it was talking about the junior college path. So the junior college path in basketball, I take it, is fairly common.
It is a lot more prevalent now from years past. A lot of kids, they need the growth, the development, maybe they need better study habits.
Hmm.
And that's a path to go where you see a lot of these kids go to a prep school, a junior college, and they can get more developed in their game physically,
Hmm.
where they can actually take another year to develop and have a better chance of reaching that Division I level.
And is it junior college does not count for eligibility, right? You're not losing a year of eligibility.
No, you'll have 2 years there at a junior college, and
Okay,
then you can have 4 years at a 4-year school. Yeah.
gotcha. Can you talk a little bit about the commitment of an athlete at each of these different levels in terms of the amount of time that has to go into to the different divisions?
Right. They say at the Division I level, which is true, it's like having a full-time job on top of your studies. It's these coaches, it's a business, and
Hmm.
a lot of their jobs are on the lines. If they bring in the wrong player, they're not recruiting right. Their jobs on the line, so they expect 110% from you. Of course, they have study tables to help with academics, but there's a lot of travel, a lot of time. They work around your studies to get practices in, but it's a huge commitment.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of players of all the players I've had, I've probably had 5 or 6 who've actually gone to a Division I and they've actually stayed there because
Mm.
I tell them, you may not know what you're actually getting into. Be careful what you wish for. Division II is still a lot of travel. There's high quality basketball there. I'd have to say it's a little less demanding than that, but in the Division III level, there's no scholarships, so I feel like there's maybe a little bit less pressure on the kids
Mm.
and the coaches and so forth.
Well, playing time's another big one. I mean, unless you're the superstar, if you're going Division One, especially a big program, you're probably not going to get a lot of playing time. Whereas you're going to be able to play at D2 or D3.
And that's what I tell the kids too. If you're what we call a tweener, a borderline Division I guy,
Hmm.
you're used to playing all the time, even probably since middle school. You're the guy. You play
Yeah.
all the heavy minutes. You're never sitting down by the water cooler. But you got to think is when you came into high school as a freshman, you probably didn't get a shot right away. So I say
Right.
the same things to these kids is now you're going into this system where they've got juniors and seniors who have put in their time. You've got to expect that you're going to have to sit for a while and develop and learn the system. But it's a culture shock for a lot of these kids.
I'm sure. You make another a good point of just referencing the business side of things because that's a really unique thing to basketball and football, mostly. I mean, most of the sports that we talk to, their programs are they're not out there earning a ton of money, for the schools. But
Right.
basketball and football is where all the money comes from, and that kind of changes the dynamic. I mean, you've got maybe a multi-million-dollar coach and endorsements, and it really is, I guess, a very, very different experience for the athlete to step into that environment.
It is. You think of the high major networks like the SEC, the Big Ten. They got big budgets, but they produce. They fill the arenas. They bring in endorsements, sponsors, and you got to win. You see a coaching carousel where you don't win, you're gone, and a coach has to demand and get the best players that they can to achieve that. It's a business for sure.
Yeah, and that's a factor too. If a player goes to a college because they really like the coach,
Yeah,
that can change. You can find yourself playing for somebody else. I imagine there is more job security and more stability at the D2 level and D3 level than you see at the D1 level. And
definitely, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, coaches don't get a lot of success factors for like, let's say Calipari at Kentucky. He draws a lot of players in because he's a players coach. They want to play for him. They see him go to the NBA, but I don't think a lot of coaches get that. Where hey, we go to a school just because it's a school, but no, a lot of times
Mhm.
it's because of a coach.
Mhm. How do you recommend? I mean, is there anything you recommend for parents and players to to get a good sense of the culture on a team? I mean, obviously you can go do a visit, you can meet with the coach, but I guess it's kind of tough to really get a feel for a place until you're in it.
Yeah, I recommend if going to a lot of their games because a lot of coaches will offer that. Well, hey, come and check us out in the game. Come in the locker room, talk to some of the players there. If you can get some of the players off to the side and say, hey, how is it over here? Is this a good situation? But if you get a feel for the atmosphere of the games, you can see the coaching styles,
True. Yeah.
and then get a feel for the locker room situation. And I say, it's a lot like buying a car. You just get that feeling like this
Yeah.
is where we want to be.
Sure.
And you got to make sure it's a big commitment.
Yeah. Oh, it's a life-changing commitment. And yeah, I guess you
Yeah,
can get an idea if the coach is a big yeller or he's, a little more soft-spoken, that kind of thing, just from,
right,
yeah. Yeah.
right. Yeah, some of these kids don't respond well to some of the yellers, and some
Yep.
of them that's what they need. But yeah, it's whatever
Exactly.
whatever your style is. Yeah.
Sure. Tell me a little bit about your business, more exposure. So are you regional to an area? Are you serving people from all over the country, or what does that
We
look
do
like?
we do nationwide. We've done 150 athletes and above through 14 different states. Um, it's a proactive service. We make a highlight reel. We set up a profile on the website. We send out transcripts. We set up visits. We make sure coaches have your summer schedules because a lot of times they're just not going to come see you in the high school. And if you can get into a building with 30 different coaches, if you have an advantage, like we provide, like say, hey, go see this kid over on court 30 at 8 o'clock, and you
Yep.
send that highlight reel, and it's all a matter of just getting that hook and getting the recruiting process started. And then from then on, it's up to the kid then. But it's just a matter of getting that player into a coach's lap and getting them on their radar.
Hmm. And what does it look like? What's the basketball recruiting schedule look like? Because a lot of schedules have been blown to smithereens by COVID. When
Yeah.
when when are the showcases usually happening?
Right now, there is no live events, what we call, which are division NCAA events,
Hmm.
until I want to say the end of July, early August.
Okay.
They can, however, communicate with the kids right now. I think they can conference call like this, send out text and
Hmm.
call. But there's not a live in person until like I think the end of July.
And is that what it normally is the case, or was that pushed back?
No, no, it's really pushed back. It usually starts in April. It went from 3 live events to 5 events, which was great.
Hmm.
Just the more eyes you can get on a player, the better chances they have. But then the COVID situation happened, and now they're only going to have 2 live events, which
Wow.
will be I think in July and August,
That's gonna
and
be
that decreases your chances.
yeah.
And
Yeah. And then
what
you've
kids have
got
to understand is, yeah, it's a lot of them are looking at 2020 kids right now.
yeah. And you've got
So
the extra year of eligibility, which at least at the highest level might be impactful.
yeah,
I don't know that D2, D3 might be less likely for someone to be sticking around the extra year, but at the highest level, you're going to have some slots that are taken away by people coming back.
right, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something that people have to look into as well when they're during the process, and that's things we help out with. Any information they need, like I said, it's a process. They're lucky to go through it one time, but we're happy to do all these things for them.
Yeah, great. Well, Jeff, I appreciate your insight, and particularly it was nice to get a perspective on basketball on this, and I hope things get back to normal for you and for everybody else pretty soon here. Um,
We appreciate the opportunity. We feel the same way. We're hoping things can get back to some form of semblance to normalcy soon.
Agreed. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jeff.
Thank you.
Take care.